2014 तक ग्रामीण इलाकों में सड़कों की लंबाई भी 4 लाख किलोमीटर से कम थी। आज ये आंकड़ा भी बढ़कर 7.25 लाख किलोमीटर से ज्यादा हो चुका है। आप अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं कि जब गांव में सड़क पहुंचती है तो उसका क्या क्या प्रभाव होता है। इससे पूरे इकोसिस्टम में तेज गति से रोजगार का सृजन होने लगता है। साथियों, ऐसे ही काम देश के एविएशन सेक्टर में हुआ है। 2014 तक देश में 74 एयरपोर्ट थे। आज इनकी संख्या 148 हो गई है। हम सभी जानते हैं कि एयरपोर्ट ऑपरेशंस में कितने ज्यादा स्टाफ की जरूरत पड़ती है। आप अनुमान लगा सकते हैं कि इतने नए एयरपोर्ट्स ने भी देश में हजारों नए अवसर तैयार किए हैं। और आपने देखा है कि हाल ही में एयर इंडिया ने रिकॉर्ड संख्या में नए हवाई जहाज खरीदने का ऑर्डर दिया है। कई और भारतीय कंपनियां भी इसी तैयारी में हैं। यानी आने वाले दिनों में इस सेक्टर में कैटरिंग से लेकर इन फ्लाइट सर्विसेज तक, मेंटेनेंस से लेकर ऑन ग्राउंड हैंडलिंग तक बड़ी संख्या में नए अवसर तैयार होंगे। ऐसी ही प्रगति हमारे पोर्ट सेक्टर में भी हो रही है। समुद्री तट का जो विकास हो रहा है, हमारे पोर्ट्स जो डेवलप हो रहे हैं, आज हमारे पोर्ट्स पर पहले की तुलना में कार्गो हैंडलिंग 2 गुनी हो चुकी है और इसमें लगने वाला समय अब आधा रह गया है। इस बड़े बदलाव ने पोर्ट सेक्टर में भी बड़ी तादाद में नए अवसर तैयार किए हैं। साथियों, देश का हेल्थ सेक्टर भी एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन का बेहतरीन उदाहरण बन रहा है। 2014 में भारत में 400 से भी कम मेडिकल कॉलेज थे। आज 660 मेडिकल कॉलेज है। 2014 में अंडर ग्रेजुएट मेडिकल सीटों की संख्या करीब 50,000 थी। आज 1 लाख से ज्यादा सीट उपलब्ध है। आज पहले के मुकाबले 2 गुनी संख्या में डॉक्टर परीक्षाएं पास करके तैयार हो रहे हैं। आयुष्मान भारत योजना की वजह से देश में अनेकों नए अस्पताल और क्लिनिक बने हैं। यानी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का हर प्रोजेक्ट रोजगार और स्वरोजगार उसमें बढ़ोतरी सुनिश्चित कर रहा है। साथियों, ग्रामीण अर्थव्यवस्था को गति देने के लिए सरकार जो एफपीओ बना रही है, सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स को लाखों करोड़ों की मदद दे रही है, स्टोरेज कैपेसिटी का विस्तार कर रही है, उससे गांव के युवाओं के लिए अपने गांव में ही रोजगार के अवसर बन रहे हैं। 2014 के बाद से देश में 3 लाख से ज्यादा नए कॉमन सर्विस सेंटर्स बने हैं। 2014 के बाद से देश के गांवों में 6 लाख किलोमीटर से ज्यादा ऑप्टिकल फाइबर बिछाया गया है। 2014 के बाद से देश में 3 करोड़ से ज्यादा घर गरीबों को बनाकर दिए गए हैं। इनमें से 2.5 करोड़ से ज्यादा घर गांवों में ही बने हैं। बीते वर्षों में गांवों में 10 करोड़ से ज्यादा शौचालय, 1.5 लाख से ज्यादा हेल्थ और वेलनेस सेंटर्स, हजारों नए पंचायत भवन, इन सभी निर्माण कार्यों ने गांवों में लाखों युवाओं को काम दिया है, रोजगार दिया है। आज जिस तरह एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर में फार्म मैकेनाइजेशन तेजी से बढ़ा है, उससे भी गांव में रोजगार के नए मौके बन रहे हैं। साथियों, आज भारत जिस तरह से अपने लघु उद्योगों की हैंड होल्डिंग कर रहा है, अपने यहां एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप को बढ़ावा दे रहा है, इससे बड़ी संख्या में रोजगार का निर्माण सुनिश्चित हो जाता है। हाल ही में प्रधानमंत्री मुद्रा योजना ने 8 वर्ष पूरे किए। इन 8 वर्षों में मुद्रा योजना के तहत बिना बैंक गारंटी 23 लाख करोड़ रुपए का लोन दिया गया है। इसमें से 70% लोन महिलाओं को मिला है। इस योजना ने 8 करोड़ नए एंटरप्रेन्योर्स तैयार किए हैं। यानी ये वो लोग हैं जिन्होंने मुद्रा योजना की मदद से पहली बार अपना कोई कामकाज शुरू किया है। मुद्रा योजना की सफलता ने देश के करोड़ों लोगों को स्वरोजगार के लिए हौसला दिया है, नई दिशा दिखाई है। और मैं साथियों आपको एक और बात बताना चाहता हूं। ग्रासरूट लेवल पर इकोनॉमी की ताकत बढ़ाने में माइक्रो फाइनेंस का कितना महत्व होता है, माइक्रो फाइनेंस कितनी बड़ी शक्ति बनकर के उभरता है, ये हमने इन 8-9 साल में देखा है। बड़े बड़े अपने आप को महारथी मानने वाले, बड़े बड़े अर्थशास्त्र के पंडित मानने वाले और बड़े बड़े मालेतुजारों को फोन टेप कर करके लोन देने वाली की आदत वाले लोग पहले कभी भी माइक्रो फाइनेंस की ताकत को नहीं समझ पाए। आज भी ये लोग माइक्रो फाइनेंस का मजाक उड़ा रहे हैं। इनको देश के सामान्य नागरिक के सामर्थ्य का समझ ही नहीं है। साथियों, आज जिन लोगों को नियुक्ति पत्र मिला है, उन्हें मैं विशेष तौर पर कुछ सुझाव अवश्य देना चाहता हूं। आप में से कुछ लोग रेलवे, तो कुछ लोग शिक्षा क्षेत्र से जुड़ रहे हैं, कुछ लोगों को बैंकों में अपनी सेवाएं देने का अवसर मिल रहा है। ये आपके लिए देश के विकास में योगदान देने का अवसर है। देश 2047 में 2047 में जब आजादी के 100 साल मनाएगा, विकसित भारत बनने का लक्ष्य लेकर आगे बढ़ रहा है। और मैं जानता हूं, आज आपकी जो उम्र है, ये आपके लिए सच्चे अर्थ में अमृतकाल है। आपके जीवन का ये 25 वर्ष देश एकदम से तेज गति से आगे बढ़ने वाला माहौल वाला है और उसमें आप योगदान दे जा रहे हैं। आप कल्पना कर सकते हैं कितने उत्तम कालखंड में, कितने उत्तम अवसर के साथ देश को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए आज आपके कंधों पर आप नई जिम्मेवारी ले रहे हैं। आपका एक एक कदम, आपके समय की एक एक पल देश को तेज गति से विकसित भारत बनाने में काम आने वाली है। आज आप एक सरकारी कर्मचारी के तौर पर अपनी यात्रा भले शुरू कर रहे हैं। इस यात्रा में हमेशा उन बातों को याद रखना चाहिए और हमेशा अपने आप को एक सामान्य नागरिक के तौर पर आप पिछले 5 साल से 10 साल से जब से समझने लगे हैं क्या क्या महसूस करते थे, सरकार का कौन सा व्यवहार आपको अखरता था, सरकार का कौन सा व्यवहार आपको अच्छा लगता था। आप भी ये जरूर मन में मानिए कि जो बुरे अनुभव आपको आए हैं, आपके रहते हुए किसी भी देश के नागरिक को बुरा अनुभव नहीं आने देंगे। जो आपको बीती होगी, आपके कारण किसी को नहीं बीतेगी। यही बहुत बड़ी सेवा है। अब ये आपकी जिम्मेदारी है कि सरकारी सेवा में आने के बाद दूसरों की उन उम्मीदों को आप पूरा करें, अपने आप को योग्य बनाएं। आप में से हर कोई किसी न किसी रूप में अपने कार्य से सामान्य मानवीय के जीवन को प्रभावित भी कर सकता है, प्रेरित भी कर सकता है, उसको निराशा की गर्त में डूबते हुए बचा भी सकता है। इससे बड़ा मानवता का क्या काम हो सकता है साथियों। आपकी कोशिश होनी चाहिए कि आपके कार्य का सकारात्मक प्रभाव हो, आपके काम से सामान्य मानवीय का जीवन बेहतर हो, व्यवस्थाओं पर उसका विश्वास बढ़ना चाहिए। मेरा आप सबसे एक और आग्रह है, आप सबने कड़ी मेहनत से ये सफलता हासिल की है, लेकिन सरकारी नौकरी पाने के बाद भी सीखने की प्रक्रिया को रुकने ना दें। कुछ नया जानने, नया सीखने का स्वभाव आपके कार्य और व्यक्तित्व दोनों में प्रभाव जगाएगा। ऑनलाइन लर्निंग प्लेटफॉर्म आई गॉट कर्मयोगी से जुड़कर आप अपने स्किल को अपग्रेड कर सकते हैं। और साथियों, मैं तो मेरे लिए हमेशा कहता हूं, मैं मेरे भीतर के विद्यार्थी को कभी मरने नहीं देता हूं। मैं बड़ा विद्वान हूं, मुझे सब आता है, सब मैं सीख चुका हूं, ऐसा भ्रम लेकर के न मैं पैदा हुआ हूं न काम करता हूं। मैं हमेशा अपने आप को एक विद्यार्थी मानता हूं, हर किसी से सीखने का प्रयास करता हूं। आप भी अपने भीतर के विद्यार्थी को जिंदा रखना, कुछ न कुछ नया सीखने की कोशिश करते रहना, वो जीवन के नए नए द्वार खोल देगा। साथियों, फिर एक बार वैशाखी का पावन पर्व हो, जीवन का नया आरंभ हो, इससे बढ़कर के क्या अवसर हो सकता है। आप सभी के उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए पुनः बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। एक बार फिर आप सबको बहुत बहुत बधाई।
All right, we just heard the Prime Minister there inaugurating Rozgar Mela, and he spoke there about the importance of employment. Also speaking about fulfilling the commitment of the Prime Minister, he's spoken about that to accord the highest priority to employment generation. The Rozgar Mela is expected to act as a catalyst in further employment generation and providing meaningful opportunities to the youth for their empowerment and participation in national development. So viewers, we just saw though that Prime Minister attended the Rozgar Mela, and he will also be virtually distributing 71,000 appointment letters to newly inducted recruits in various government departments, viewers. So we're getting these details coming in. We saw the Prime Minister speaking at the Rozgar Mela, also giving a lot of important points there, especially when it comes to boosting the economy of a country through employment. All right, viewers, getting some breaking news coming in. Now we are learning that ED has filed a FEMA case against the BBC. That's the big news coming in right now. FEMA case has been registered against the BBC, and we are learning that the ED maintains that the case was initiated a few months back, and few staff members of BBC have been examined by the ED. All right, this is the big breaking coming in right now. A FEMA case has been initiated, viewers. And we are also learning that few staff members of the BBC have already been examined by the ED. We are also learning several documents pertaining to foreign remittances, books of accounts are under the scrutiny of the ED. Let's go to Shravan Sen, who's joining us. Shravan, take our viewers to this big development coming in. This is a very big breaking update.
Well, Shivangi, undoubtedly this certainly means more trouble for the BBC. Essentially, this investigation comes in after the Income Tax Department had carried out a survey action against them. As far as the FEMA violation is concerned, there is a stark difference between what would one perceive in terms of a case if it would have been registered under the PMLA Act. Now, what they're looking at right now is whether at all there have been any forex exchange violation, and that is the reason why the book of accounts are essentially being examined by the Enforcement Directorate. They're looking at the foreign remittances that were basically made by the parent company to other multiple companies that have been floated by the British Broadcasting Corporation here in India in terms of their business. Now, remember, as far as the FEMA violations are concerned, what happens in terms of a punitive action is that if at all the Enforcement Directorate comes across those violations and before the appellate authority, they are in a position to basically explain it, then remember, a penalty is essentially issued. The penalty would be in terms of the forex violations that have taken place, and the penalty would be imposed on BBC. Right now, the examination is still underway. It perhaps is going to take a couple of months before the Enforcement Directorate comes to any sort of conclusion whether at all a penalty would be levied on BBC. As of now, what we can confirm for our viewers is that over the last couple of months, several of executives of the British Broadcasting Corporation have already been examined by the Enforcement Directorate. They have been made, legal appeals have also been made by the BBC on this entire matter. We haven't really heard from the BBC. No statement has essentially been issued, but what we can tell our viewers that the examination has already begun. The investigation is basically underway as we speak.
Right, so this is a very big update coming in right now, Shravan. So, this is a Foreign Exchange Management Act. That case has been registered against the BBC, and ED maintaining that the case was initiated a few months back. A few staff members of the BBC have been examined by the ED. And Shravan, take us through exactly what happened, because that you were also mentioning a survey was done, conducted by the Income Tax Department. Then the ED had sent summons to the BBC calling for an inquiry in the matter.
Well, the two are very different in terms of the mandate that the Income Tax Department has and the Enforcement Directorate in this entire matter. Now, the recent development certainly happening that the FEMA violations have essentially been prima facie, they have come across certain FEMA violations, and the BBC has essentially been given the opportunity to explain the foreign remittances that they have received so far. Remember, there are, as far as the forex violations are concerned, important to point out here is that there are certain regulations in India which needs to be followed whenever any company in India, operating in India, essentially receives funds from outside. Whether at all, right now, in terms of what is the nature of the violation, that is still not known, because remember, the agency essentially being completely tight-lipped. In fact, it is much later that sources within the Enforcement Directorate have actually confirmed that the investigation is already underway. It's important to highlight here that this is not a new case that has basically been registered, and enforcement directorate basically hinting at the fact that this case started about a couple of months ago. What we do not know is that whether this was immediately after the income tax department had carried out the survey, or it was even before that. That clarity hasn't really come in from the enforcement directorate at this point in time. That also goes on to indicate that the central agency has been working on this for several months. Despite the kind of criticism that both the central agencies have essentially attracted, especially after the action that was taken against the British Broadcasting Corporation. Now, important to point out here, remember, any company that basically operates here in India, there are certain rules and regulations that have to be followed, especially if you're receiving certain foreign remittances. So you have to basically explain what is the purpose of receiving that fund, and also you need to explain the fact that whether at all the money that was received and the purpose for which it was received, it was finally utilized for the same purpose. We have seen in the past also several other companies, for instance, in the case of Amnesty, which was also under the scanner of the enforcement directorate, they were unable to really explain the purpose of receiving the fund and whether it was used for the same very purpose that it had received the fund. It turned out that they were not in a position to basically explain. Now, that would only come up in a couple of months from now, whether at all the British Broadcasting Corporation would be in a position to really explain the funding that has been received and the route by which they have received the funding to carry out their operations here in India.
All right, so Shravan Sen over there taking us through the latest on this. Shravan, so essentially, there is a lot that the BBC will have to worry about because, a FEMA case essentially means that all kinds of foreign funding that is coming in is now going to be put into questioning?
Well, every company they are entitled for receiving foreign funding. And there is a certain capping that is there when it comes to any company receiving funds. The problem does not really lie there. The problem essentially begins when the foreign remittances are perhaps received through layered companies and when there hasn't been an open declaration of the same. That's where the problem essentially begins. Now, at this point in time, it perhaps, Nupur, would become in the realm of speculation in terms of what's the nature of the violation and which are the companies that are basically under the scanner. Whether there are entities that have been linked to the BBC, but they are third party, that is also not known at this point in time. So to avoid any sort of speculation, all that we can confirm that yes, there is a FEMA investigation that is basically underway in which BBC executives have already been examined by the enforcement directorate. The central agency at this point in time has not issued any statement whatsoever. It is by sources within the agency we can confirm that an investigation is basically underway. And also the fact that whether at all this was before the income tax department had begun their investigation or it was after that, that clarity hasn't really come in from the central agency. In fact, all that they are indicating is that this investigation started about a couple of months ago, and several documents have been sought by the agency from the British Broadcasting Corporation. In fact, they've cooperated is what we are picking up at this point in time in terms of submission of certain documents, and that is pertaining to do with particular foreign remittances that have essentially taken place.
All right. So as Shravan Sen is pointing out, of course, we are still awaiting more details to come in. All we know so far is that this investigation, I beg your pardon, started about a few months ago. Now, we don't know whether the raids that were conducted on the BBC's offices were after that or, this were consequent to this case being filed. So all of that, of course, we'll await more confirmation to come in. Shravan Sen continues to bring us the latest on this. Shravan, this obviously is going to be in a series of incidents that have troubled the BBC in India for a while now.
Well, in fact, remember, the British Broadcasting have been maintaining that they have clean operations in this entire case, and in fact they have cooperated even with the income tax department when the survey was actually carried out, when the income tax department was also monitoring the book of accounts. Now, in the FEMA case, remember, this is a civil proceeding, which essentially means that if they basically come across any forex violation, that would essentially mean that a penalty would be imposed. Of course, that can also be challenged before an appropriate appellate authority, and that option would certainly be available before the British Broadcasting Corporation. But certainly that only raises more concerns for the Western media right now, given the fact that they have already been under the scanner in terms of their operations. Here, the larger concern would also be the fact that where exactly was the funding coming from. And if I have to borrow a leaf from the investigation that was carried out in Amnesty, remember at that point in time, what essentially happened was that the funding that was received by Amnesty, there was a particular objective for the same. It was coming in from parent company of Amnesty based in the United Kingdom. But it then turned out that the very purpose of which the money was being received was for the same. However, reports were also being prepared. And that is exactly the question that was basically asked by the enforcement director.
All right, we seem to have lost that audio connection with Chavan Sen, but here's what we know so far. We are given to understand that a FEMA case has been registered against the BBC. The ED, on its part, which has been investigating this case, maintains that this case was initiated a few months ago. Now, already staff members of the BBC have been examined by the Enforcement Directorate. So we are still awaiting some clarity on this, but the ED has recorded statements of staff members of the BBC. Now, we don't know whether this is linked to the IT raids that were conducted on the British Broadcasting Corporation's offices in India. We'll have to wait and watch out for more clarity to come in. But this is via sources that we now know that there is a FEMA case that has also been registered against the BBC. This is an ongoing investigation, and we are still waiting for more details to come in. You are watching Republic TV. We slip into a very short break. On the other side, we'll bring you more news, so stay with us.
Supreme Court has given its verdict on the Rafale case. Why are you holding 70 press conferences on Rafale?
जब तक सुप्रीम कोर्ट का वर्डिक्ट नहीं आया, हमने संयम रखा है। हम नहीं बोले कभी। आरोप पे आरोप लगाते गए, भ्रष्टाचार का आरोप लगाया, प्रधानमंत्री जी पर आरोप लगाया, उसकी सफाई भी नहीं दे सकते। अब जरूर जनता के सामने जाएंगे, क्योंकि इन्होंने झूठ बोलकर जनता को गुमराह करने का प्रयास किया है। उन्होंने सेना और देश की माफी मांगनी थी। सरकार जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट आया, उसको जनता के सामने रख रहे हैं। हमारा अधिकार है वो।
जूनियर वर्ल्ड चैंपियन रहे हैं नीरज चोपड़ा।
2020 में बेस्ट वन पदक जीत लिया है भारत के थ्रोअर नीरज चोपड़ा ने।
What do you see our country as in 2030 in diplomatic and political terms?
I see more change between now and 2030 than I saw in the last 40 years.
Kamal Hassan says, do not force or test my patriotism at various random places.
When you play our national anthem in cinema theaters, that's not a place to test it.
We might not have our cultural affinities in common, but the one thing that we have in common is that goosebump that we get when Jana Gana Man plays.
In the newsroom of Republic, if the national anthem plays even in the course of a live news feed being coming, irrespective of the breaking news and what story you're editing, our entire newsroom of 200 people stands up that very instant.
World leaders have promised everything to everyone in the so-called Sustainable Development Goals. Not surprisingly, the world and all the G20 countries are vastly off track to deliver. Even India won't deliver everything, but India has improved faster than any other G20 nation from 2015 to 19. India shows that prioritizing achievable, deliverable development matters. Yet the rich world incessantly stress climate change. And yes, climate is a challenge, but one of many. And currently climate policies cost trillions of dollars, yet deliver trivial temperature reductions in a century from now. In a world where we can't do everything, India is uniquely placed to demand the world focus on the most efficient development policies first. Growth, jobs, education, health is at the top of India's priorities, as it is across most of the world. Climate is there too, but nowhere near the top. I will talk about how smart policies can help India and the world achieve amazing progress for little money. Better education, ending tuberculosis, more trade, lower mortality for mothers and infants, higher agricultural production, and better nutrition. Chairing the G20, India can help all of us focus on the smartest solutions for the challenges faced by the Global South. I'll challenge popular opinion at India's biggest news event, the Republic Summit, which is by far India's most high-profile event.
Well, news just coming in, we are now learning that the ED has registered a FEMA case against BBC India for alleged foreign exchange violations. Now, Shavan Sen is joining us on the phone line. He has more details on this. Yes, Shavan, tell us more, please.
Well, after the Income Tax Department, it's the Enforcement Directorate which has now basically stepped in, and the FEMA violation case has been registered by the Enforcement Directorate against the British Broadcasting Corporation. What we can confirm is that this case was initiated by the Enforcement Directorate about a couple of months ago. Thereafter, BBC executives were essentially called AD for examination. In fact, more than the executives, it's the book of accounts which are essentially being looked into right now by the Enforcement Directorate. Prima facie, it appears that there are certain forex violations that have essentially taken place in terms of the foreign remittances that were received by the British Broadcasting Corporation. Now, what we do not know, Nupur, at this point in time, is that whether companies that have been linked to the BBC that have basically come under this cadre, and whether at all there was a third-party involvement in this entire case. That clarity hasn't really come in from the Enforcement Directorate. What does this essentially mean? This is a civil proceeding that is against the British Broadcasting Corporation, which essentially means that the Enforcement Directorate would basically levy a penalty if they cross certain violations that have taken place under the FEMA Act. That would also be, that opportunity would be there before the British Broadcasting Corporation to basically challenge it before an appellate authority. And the appellate authority would only then adjudicate on this entire matter.
All right, so Shavan, of course, is bringing us the latest on this. Thank you, Shavan, for joining us. The ED, of course, has registered a FEMA case against BBC India for alleged foreign exchange violation. We'll get you more on that in just a bit.
जूनियर वर्ल्ड चैंपियन रहे हैं नीरज चोपड़ा।
T20 में बेस्ट वन पदक जीत लिया है भारत के थ्रोअर नीरज चोपड़ा ने।
What do you see our country as in 2030 in diplomatic and political terms?
I see more change between now and 2030 than I saw in the last 40 years.
Kamal Hassan says, do not force or test my patriotism at various random places.
When you play our national anthem in cinema theaters, that's not a place to test it.
We might not have our cultural affinities in common, but the one thing that we have in common is that goosebump that we get when Jana Gana Man plays.
in the newsroom of Republic, if the national anthem plays even in the course of a live news feed being coming, irrespective of the breaking news and what story you're editing, our entire newsroom of 200 people stands up that very instant, sir.
World leaders have promised everything to everyone in the so-called Sustainable Development Goal. Not surprisingly, the world and all the G20 countries are vastly off track to deliver. Even India won't deliver everything, but India has improved faster than any other G20 nation from 2015 to 19. India shows that prioritizing achievable, deliverable development matters. Yet the rich world incessantly stress climate change. And yes, climate is a challenge, but one of many. And currently, climate policies cost trillions of dollars, yet deliver trivial temperature reductions in a century from now. In a world where we can't do everything, India is uniquely placed to demand the world focus on the most efficient development policies first. Growth, jobs, education, health is at the top of India's priorities, as it is across most of the world. Climate is there too, but nowhere near the top. I will talk about how smart policies can help India and the world achieve amazing progress for little money. Better education, ending tuberculosis, more trade, lower mortality for mothers and infants, higher agricultural production, and better nutrition. Chairing the G20, India can help all of us focus on the smartest solutions to the challenges faced by the Global South. I'll challenge popular opinion at India's biggest news event, the Republic Summit, which is by far India's most high-profile event. I'll see you there.
Your friend Mamata Banerjee, she says that आप consult नहीं करते, like on disinvestment, opposition should have been consulted.
हमने सोचना बंद नहीं किया। करोड़ों की संख्या में रिपब्लिक भारत और रिपब्लिक टीवी दोनों को देश में लोग देख रहे हैं। ये सब कभी ना कभी ट्रेन का सफर करते हैं। अब हम चाहते हैं कि वो ट्रेन का सफर अंग्रेजी में SUFFER
Taiwan has said that it successfully urged China to drastically narrow its plan to close airspace north of the island, averting wider travel disruption in a period of high tension in the region due to China's military exercises. North Korea launched a ballistic missile towards the sea Thursday. South Korea's military has said days after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un vowed to enhance his nuclear arsenal in more practical and offensive ways. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said that the launch occurred Thursday morning but gave no further details such as how far the missile flew and exactly what the weapon the North fired. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has confirmed that the missile did not fall within Japanese territory. Kishida also said that he wanted to hold a full ministerial meeting of National Security Council in response. At least 133 people were killed, including women and children, in an airstrike by the military junta on a village in central Myanmar. Although there have been no additional strikes, military jets have continued to fly over the town, preventing first responders and medical professionals from reaching the attack site. A delegation headed by Syria's foreign minister arrived in Saudi Arabia Wednesday for talks about bilateral relationship between the two countries, the first such visit since 2012. Torrential storm has brought heavy showers, gusty winds and thunderstorms to South Florida and prompted the closure of Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. The airport operations will restart once the weather improves. The Chinese capital is under the highest warning for a sandstorm. Beijing's skyline was tough to see through the sandstorm. Buildings and traffic were shrouded in low visibility. Rival protesters faced off in the Israeli town of Hadar late Wednesday as the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu attended the Mimuna celebrations, an event marked by Moroccan Druze, a day after the Jewish Passover. Tensions have been high among Israelis protesting a planned judicial overhaul in Netanyahu's right-wing government. A group of journalists has protested Wednesday in the Bolivian capital of La Paz against a new press bill promoted by the government's majority in Congress. Now, the government has said that the bill is intended as a complementary measure to be in accordance with the international human rights. A vigil was held for victims of Louisville bank shooting after a gunman killed 5 of the workers at Old National Bank downtown and injured 8 others. Well, the US President Joe Biden received a rock star-like welcome in the town of Irish County, where his mother's family came from. Here's more.
Tracing his family lineage, President Joe Biden received a rock star-like welcome in this town in the Irish County, where his mother's family is from. Hundreds of people lined up 4 and 5 deep for block after block, and many had stretched out their hands hoping for even the slightest contact with Biden. Despite the rain and strong wind, it was giggles and laughter for the thousands who came to soak in the atmosphere and get a glimpse of Biden.
Well, I just wanted to come down and see what was happening and to see Joe Biden, obviously, and to take it all in, the atmosphere. So, yeah, it's great.
And even though it's raining in Ireland, the sun's shining really in our hearts. And there's no show like a Joe show.
People cheered as the motorcade made its way through the narrow streets adorned with US flags. Many had been waiting hours to celebrate a president many call a local.
Well, he's the President of the United States, and his ancestors come from a few miles down the road, so it's just a very historic moment for get an opportunity to see him close up, so it's just wonderful. Even though the weather's bad, can't do much about the weather, but I think it's just great that he's coming.
Biden arrived in the Irish Republic after a brief stop in Northern Ireland. Agency report for Republic TV.
Continue within the Congress party. Randhawa, the in charge of Rajasthan of AICC, meeting the top brasses of the Congress party in the national capital. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Dear viewers, in a few days we are bringing to you once again the Republic Summit. And this year our theme is fittingly about how this is a time of transformation. Yes, this is a time of transformation for an India that is growing 4 times faster than the world average. It is a time of transformation for an India whose manufacturing exports grow 40% year on year on the back of COVID, while China witnesses a major loss. This is a time of transformation, of opportunity for India that has let go of the dollar hangover, and the rupee is closer to being accepted as international currency. And nearly 60% of all digital payments are already UPI based. Isn't this the very moment to come together and think of how we can make the transformation even quicker? So please join me and join all of us at Republic TV as we bring to you the Republic Summit this year on the theme of a time of transformation. See you there. Kamal Hassan says, do not force or test my patriotism at various random places.
When you play our national anthem in cinema theaters, that's not a place to test it.
We might not have our cultural affinities in common, but the one thing that we have in common is that goosebump that we get when Jana Gana Man plays.
In the newsroom of Republic, if the national anthem plays even in the course of a live news feed being coming, irrespective of the breaking news and what story you're editing, our entire newsroom of 200 people stands up that very instant.
World leaders have promised everything to everyone in the so-called Sustainable Development Goal. Not surprisingly, the world and all the G20 countries are vastly off track to deliver. Even India won't deliver everything, but India has improved faster than any other G20 nation from 2015 to 19. India shows that prioritizing achievable, deliverable development matters. Yet the rich world incessantly stress climate change. And yes, climate is a challenge, but one of many. And currently climate policies cost trillions of dollars, yet deliver trivial temperature reductions in a century from now. In a world where we can't do everything, India is uniquely placed to demand the world focus on the most efficient development policies first. Growth, jobs, education, health is at the top of India's priorities, as it is across most of the world. Climate is there too, but nowhere near the top. I will talk about how smart policies can help India and the world achieve amazing progress for little money. Better education, ending tuberculosis, more trade, lower mortality for mothers and infants, higher agricultural production, and better nutrition. Chairing the G20, India can help all of us focus on the smartest solutions for the challenges faced by the Global South. I'll challenge popular opinion at India's biggest news event, the Republic Summit, which is by far India's most high-profile event. I'll see you there.
Your friend Mamta Banerjee, she says that आप consult नहीं करते, like on disinvestment, opposition should have been consulted.
हमने सोचना बंद नहीं किया। करोड़ों की संख्या में रिपब्लिक भारत और रिपब्लिक टीवी दोनों को देश में लोग देख रहे हैं। ये सब कभी ना कभी ट्रेन का सफर करते हैं। अब हम चाहते हैं कि वो ट्रेन का सफर अंग्रेजी में SUFFER सफर ना रहे, वो एक सुगम सफर हो जाए।
Why you say that elections don't matter? Because you cannot.
Good afternoon. Now, India's biggest news event is back. The third edition of the Republic Summit will be held in the national capital this month. The biggest names, the biggest newsmakers, the biggest agents of change and transformation in India will be at the Republic Summit once again this year. So stand by for what will be by far India's biggest news event by miles. India's transformation is for us to celebrate together, to take pride in it together. What does this time of transformation mean to you? Tell us what this transformation means to you and send us your video via WhatsApp on 730-4434-381. The most compelling responses will get in-house seats to India's biggest news event, the Republic Summit. Join us in celebrating this time of transformation. And here's a quick look at the headlines we're tracking at 12 noon. Pilot remains adamant, camps in the national capital, awaits a meeting with the top brass. Sachin Pilot is in the national capital. The Congress is in a huddle. Hectic parleys now underway. The BBC runs into deep trouble. ED begins a probe against it over FEMA violations. Nitish Kumar makes a last-ditch effort to unite the opposition to hold meetings with left parties now. There is complete chaos in the Congress as multiple ticket aspirants take to the streets. Big controversy in Bengal as Amartya Sen gets an eviction order over Shanti Niketan residents. The mafia don Atiq Ahmed and his brother are produced before a court in the Umesh Pal murder case. Well, even as the Congress party tries hard to deal with the rebellion that's growing in its ranks in Rajasthan, we're given to understand that after Mr. Randhawa and K.C. Venugopal met each other. The Rajasthan in charge of the Congress party is now at Rahul Gandhi's residence. A meeting is also lined up with the Congress chief Mallikarjun Kharge next. Now, sources have told Republic TV that the two camps are divided on the pilot revolt. Randhawa and Venugopal have reported this to Rahul Gandhi. However, no conclusion has been derived yet. Parleys, of course, continue in the national capital. Let's go across to Anuj and Harsha, who are reporting on this from New Delhi, to get a sense of where this is headed. Now, Harsha is at Sachin Pilot's residence, in fact, outside it. Harsha, give us a sense of what's been happening there since the morning. Has there been any movement at all? And what are you hearing from your sources?
No, but till now, since morning, from 8 o'clock, we are reporting from outside Sachin Pilot's residence, but there has been no political movement till now. Let me show you the residence of Sachin Pilot. Only one MLA from Besari came here to meet Sachin Pilot, and when he came out, he only stated that whatever is happening in meeting, the result will come up from the meeting which is happening at the residence of Mallikarjun Kharge. Only from that meeting itself, the result will come out that what's going to happen about Sachin Pilot. But till now, as you see, there's a complete silence and no political movement, and Sachin Pilot has also kept mum on this entire issue. Nupur, he is in national capital from past 2 days, but till now he has not met any senior leader from Congress, be it K.C. Venugopal, be it Sukhjinder Singh Randhawa, who is in charge of Rajasthan Congress as well, or any other senior leader, because there was a dialogue between him and Priyanka Gandhi, but till now he also has not met Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. So till now he is also keeping a close watch and eyeing on the meeting which is happening at the residence of Mallikarjun Kharge, because since morning we have seen that the statement which has come from the Sukhjinder Singh Randhawa is that a strict and stern action will be taken against Sachin Pilot, but what exactly that action will be known after the meeting concludes at the residence of Mallikarjun Kharge, because since morning one meeting between Randhawa and KC Venugopal happened. Then they met to meet RG at his residence, where Rahul Gandhi met KC Venugopal and took the entire cognizance and the situation of the Rajasthan between two senior leaders, Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot, and now they have reached to the residence of Mallikarjun Kharge. So all are eyeing on this meeting of Mallikarjun Kharge, because yesterday only Randhawa gave a detailed report on the dharna which was staged by Sachin Pilot and the exact tussle between Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot. But Nupur, one thing to know, that it is not the first time that the Sachin Pilot and Ashok Gehlot are standing against each other. The infighting between these two strong and senior leaders of Rajasthan is seen from past 4.5 years in Rajasthan. Last year also we saw a tussle where we saw Sachin Pilot had a support of 19 MLAs, and today also what Sachin Pilot claims is that there are so many MLAs who are along with Sachin Pilot, and the insider sources also stating that there are supporters with Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot as well, and there's an infighting not only between Sachin Pilot and Ashok Gehlot, but many supporters and MLAs who are from the both side of the lobby as well. So there's a very crucial time for Congress senior leadership how to manage and do the damage control in this state of Rajasthan. Nupur, back to you.
All right. So as Harsha is pointing out, obviously it's a rift that runs deep, and the Congress will have to come out with a solution rather than a band-aid that's been applied earlier. Let me go back to Anuj also. He's reporting from Mallikarjun Kharge's residence. Anuj, since the morning we've seen a lot of activity over there, and now it now appears at this point at least that the Congress party president will be the one who perhaps will have the final word on this.
Well, exactly. At this point in time, first, let me give you the update. What we are getting is that at this point in time, let me ask my video journalist to give you a sense from where I'm reporting. This is Mallikarjun Kharge's residence, the president of the Congress party. And what we are breaking at this point in time is that both the leaders, being it Randhawa and K.C. Venugopal, after meeting Rahul Gandhi, is finally now meeting the president. They are inside, and the breaking, what we have is the sources of what have been telling us is that the camps has been divided in the Congress party. There are two camps. the internal fighting, what we are seeing is now the camp is divided within the Congress party. One camp is in favor of Sachin Pilot, one camp is against Sachin Pilot. That's something what has been reported to Rahul Gandhi also by KC Venugopal and Randhawa both. Finally, after meeting Rahul Gandhi at this point in time, let me tell you, the latest is both the leaders, the duo, is meeting the President Mallikarjun Kharge at his residence from the 10th Rajaji Marg, from where I am reporting at this point in time. So this is exactly the residence of Mallikarjun Kharge, the President, and at this point in time the meeting is underway. But this is internal tussle which continues within the Congress party, the internal fighting continue within the Congress party, and finally the camps has been decided. So this is pressure on the top brasses of the Congress party. They are not able to decide because nothing has reached to conclusion. But if we go through the reaction of Randhawa, which was given early in the morning today, he stated it clearly that action will be taken. But how action is going to be taken, this is going to be more and more trouble for the Congress party because the camps has been already divided. Yes, back to you.
All right, Anuj, do stay with us. Let's also listen to the reaction that we are now getting from Sukhchinder Randhawa, who is the Rajasthan in charge for the Congress party.
देखिए, आप मेरे को डिक्टेट नहीं कर सकते। तो अभी निकला हूँ कमरे से, 10:30 तो अभी हुए नहीं। हाँ, कोई नहीं, आप पेशेंस रखिए, कोई बात नहीं। आप मेरी बात सुनो, प्रेस वाले क्यों नहीं आप मेरे को ये पूछते कि कर्नाटका में कितने बीजेपी के लोग बीजेपी छोड़कर चले गए। आपको इतनी कांग्रेस के लिए क्यों इतना है कि क्या आपका कैसे बनेगा, क्या होगा? तो बीजेपी का कभी आपने पूछा कि वहाँ के एक्स डिप्टी सीएम को उन्होंने टिकट नहीं दी, उनका क्या होगा? तो ये थोड़ी बहुत बातें, थोड़ा आप एक साइड वन साइडेड मत चलिए। आप मेरे को अपोजिशन पार्टी के बारे में पूछे, एक का जवाब दो। हाँ, करेंगे, कोई बात नहीं, हालात करेंगे। मैं अब प्रेस को बताऊंगा कितने बजे हम क्या करेंगे। ऐसी बात मत करिए। मैं जनता भी नहीं जानना चाहती, सिर्फ बीजेपी के सपोर्टर जो मीडिया है वो जानना चाहते हैं, बस, और कुछ नहीं।
All right, so Mr. Randhawa over there extremely upset with the media, saying that they will keep them informed. Let's go across back on the ground to our reporters, Anuj as well as Harsha, who are still with us. Harsha, as far as Sachin Pilot's side of the story is concerned, we haven't really heard from him much, apart from that fast that took place. He hasn't come out and spoken to the media about what his demands are. He, of course, protested against, what would appear to be many against his own party.
Exactly, Nupur. Now, Nupur, it's been a long. Sachin Pilot has been upset with his own party since last year only, when Ashok Gehlot was given importance over Sachin Pilot, and the high command of Congress, the top brass of Congress, didn't hear the side of the story of Sachin Pilot, didn't even show their support for Sachin Pilot. So this is a long. We can see it as it's been long with Sachin Pilot. Sachin Pilot was already searching for a ground where he could stage a dharna, or where he could show that he's literally upset with the party, not hearing his side, not taking his demands into cognizance. And he has been upset with the CM of Rajasthan, Ashok Gehlot, for long. And therefore, he directly staged a dharna. He didn't discuss that he's going to stage a dharna with KC Venugopal, with Ajay Makhan, with Randhawa, who is the state in charge of Rajasthan. No decision or no sync was there between him and the other senior party leaders. He was asked not to stage a dharna, but he didn't give a heed to what the Congress senior leaders were saying. Even that also he staged a dharna over there in Jaipur. Until now he's mum. What he has spoken last, he has spoken Jaipur only, Nupur, and right now also you can see there's a complete silence. He is here, not leaving his residence from past 2 days.
कर्नाटका से लेकर छत्तीसगढ़ तक जिसकी पार्टी की स्थिति टूटी फूटी है, टुकड़े टुकड़े है, वो और एक और ऐसे व्यक्ति जो खुद तो वैसे हमेशा नंबर 1 अपने प्रदेश में रहना चाहते हैं, पर उनकी खुद की घटती हुई प्रासंगिकता, पॉलिटिकल रेलेवेंस इस प्रकार से है कि आज वो नंबर 3 की पोजीशन में आ चुके हैं। ये दोनों व्यक्ति मिलकर राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर एकता की और अपने लिए प्रासंगिकता की बात कर रहे थे। ये बड़ी विचित्र स्थिति थी। पार्टी टूट रही है, टूटी फूटी हो रही है, टुकड़े टुकड़े हो रहे हैं, गहलोत बनाम पायलट हो रहा है, कहीं बाघेल बनाम देव सिंह हो रहा है, कहीं थोरात बनाम पटोले हो रहा है, पर बात यूनिटी की हो रही है। और ऐसी स्थिति में जो ये दिन में तस्वीर दिखाई दे रही थी, शाम में तो और भी अनोखी स्थिति दिखाई दी। शाम आते आते भारतीय राजनीति का, जिसे मैं कहता हूं एकमात्र व्यक्ति जिसको नटवरलाल या भारतीय राजनीति का पिनोकियो कहा जा सकता है, द पिनोकियो ऑफ इंडियन पॉलिटिक्स या नटवरलाल भारतीय राजनीति का, वो भी इस विचित्र स्थिति में अपने आप को शामिल कर देता है। और यदि मैं कहूं कि भारतीय राजनीति में सियासी धर्मांतरण का, पॉलिटिकल कन्वर्जन का, यदि कोई जीता जागता कोई एक सबसे प्रमुख उदाहरण है, तो वो भारतीय राजनीति का ये पिनोकियो अर्थात नटवरलाल अर्थात श्री अरविंद केजरीवाल है। कितनी विचित्र स्थिति है कि जिन लोगों की शुरुआत अन्ना हजारे के अनुयायी बनकर हुई इंडिया अगेंस्ट करप्शन के नाम पर, इंडिया अगेंस्ट करप्शन के नाम पर इन्होंने शुरुआत की अपनी पारी, अन्ना हजारे इनके गुरु होते थे उस समय पर, आज अन्ना हजारे को इस प्रकार से डंप कर दिया है और इंडिया अगेंस्ट करप्शन आज बन चुका है JFC, फ्रॉम IAC टू JFC, इंडिया अगेंस्ट करप्शन टू नाउ जस्टिफिकेशन फॉर करप्शन। और जो शुरू किए थे अन्ना हजारे के शागिर्दगी में, अन्ना हजारे को अपना गुरु मानते हुए जिन्होंने शुरुआत की थी अपनी राजनीतिक सामाजिक यात्रा की, आज वो बन चुके हैं लालू, तेजस्वी और राहुल के अनुयायी, फॉलोअर्स। ये पॉलिटिकल कन्वर्जन का इतना बड़ा उदाहरण और कहीं पर देखने नहीं मिलेगा। और इसीलिए मैं कहता हूं कि जो पर्सनैलिटी कंसर्न्ड है, जिन्होंने ये सियासी यूटर्न किया है, और ऐसा यूटर्न किया है कि आसपास जो खड़े वैसे तो यूटर्न के विशेषज्ञ हैं ही कुछ लोग, उनको भी शर्मिंदा कर दे, ऐसा यूटर्न किया। भारतीय राजनीति के पॉलिटिकल पिनोकियो के इस यूटर्न की कहानी बताना जरूरी है। क्योंकि क्या है कि जो लोग बच्चों की कसमें खाते हैं, उनकी याददाश्त थोड़ी सी कमजोर होती है, तो उनकी याददाश्त थोड़ा तरोताजा करने के लिए यह अवसर मिला है। क्या कहते थे पॉलिटिकल नटवरलाल अर्थात पॉलिटिकल पिनोकियो अरविंद केजरीवाल लालू प्रसाद यादव और उनके परिवार के बारे में? उनकी कुछ झलकियां लेकर आया हूं मैं। आई कोट, 23rd of November 2015, श्री अरविंद केजरीवाल सेज, हम मतलब आप लालू प्रसाद यादव के रिकॉर्ड ऑफ करप्शन के खिलाफ है। फिर आगे भी बोलते हैं, वी आर अगेंस्ट द डायनेस्टी पॉलिटिक्स, हिज बोथ सन्स आर मिनिस्टर्स। अरविंद जी, इस स्थिति में क्या बदलाव हुआ है? 2015 से लेकर 2023 में लालू जी की और उनके परिवार की स्थिति में क्या बदलाव हुआ है? बदला कौन है? यू टर्न किसने लिया है? ये आपके सामने है। फिर पॉलिटिकल नटवरलाल अर्थात पॉलिटिकल पिनोकियो ऑफ इंडिया केजरीवाल जी ट्वीट करते हैं 2013 में, लालू ने करोड़ों कमाए हैं फॉर्डर स्कैम में भ्रष्टाचार के माध्यम से। ये ट्वीट है, उनके ट्वीट सारे मैं लेकर आया हूं, आप लोगों को भी मिल ही जाएगा। वैसे आए दिन सोशल मीडिया पे लोग ट्वीट करते ही हैं, उनका रीट्वीट करते हैं और याद दिलाते हैं कि केजरीवाल जी ये भी बोला करते थे, वी आर अगेंस्ट द करप्शन ऑफ लालू फैमिली, लालू फैमिली हैज मेड करोड़ इन फॉर्डर स्कैम। ये ट्वीट है उनका, 2011 का भी ट्वीट है अरविंद केजरीवाल जी का, बड़ा दिलचस्प ट्वीट है। इज दिस पार्लियामेंट सुप्रीम? आर वी टू ट्रीट लालू, मुलायम, सिब्बल, चिड्डू, ये मेरे शब्द नहीं उनके, ये चिड्डू मतलब चिदम्बरम, राजा एस सुप्रीम? विल दे अलाउ अ स्ट्रॉन्ग एंटी करप्शन लॉ? भाई इनकी शुरुआत तो इसी प्रकार से हुई थी ना कि हम एंटी करप्शन के नाम पर आए हैं, हम भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ लड़ने वाले हैं। उस समय पर इन्होंने ट्वीट किया था, ये 2011 का ट्वीट, 2013 का ट्वीट, 2015 का वक्तव्य, जिसमें कि बिना कोई इफ एंड बट, बिना कोई डाउट, और उस समय तो कन्विक्शंस भी नहीं हुई थी लालू जी की 2011 में लालू जी की, मुझे जहां तक याद है, कन्विक्शन भी नहीं हुई थी। उसी समय पर इन्होंने करप्ट घोषित कर दिया था। आज क्या स्थिति में बदलाव हुआ है, जब लालू जी एक नहीं अनेकों बार कन्विक्ट हुए हैं, अनेकों केस उनके परिवार पे चल रहे हैं, कहीं पर भी राहत नहीं मिल रही है, तो ऐसी क्या स्थितियां में बदलाव हुई है उनके भ्रष्टाचार को लेकर कि आज पॉलिटिकल पिनोकियो अरविंद केजरीवाल ने इनको गले लगा लिया है, इनके गले से गले मिल रहे हैं। कांग्रेस पार्टी के विषय में क्या कहते थे पॉलिटिकल नटवरलाल, ये तो मैं बताना नहीं चाहता हूं। आपको याद है किस किस को जेल भेजना चाहते थे, किस किस प्रकार से वो कहते थे कि जब सत्ता में आएंगे तो इनको जेल भेजेंगे, उनको जेल भेजेंगे। 13 लोगों की लिस्ट लेकर घूमते थे और उस समय पर उनका स्टैंड होता था ना कोई इन्वेस्टिगेशन, ना कोई जांच, पहले इस्तीफा हो, यह उनका स्टैंड होता था। आज पॉलिटिकल नटवरलाल उन्हीं के परिवार के साथ खड़े हैं जिनको वो भ्रष्ट बताते थे और अलायंस बनाने की बात कर रहे हैं उन्हीं भ्रष्ट परिवार के लोगों के साथ। इसीलिए मैं कहता हूं, इसका अगर विश्लेषण किया जाए तो लोकतंत्र बचाना यह बहाना है, असलियत में अपने अपने भ्रष्टाचार को बचाना है। लोकतंत्र बचाओ यह बहाना है, अपने अपने भ्रष्टाचार तंत्र को बचाना है, इसलिए सबको मिलकर एक हो जाना है। कल तक जिसको गाली दे रहे थे, जिसको कह रहे थे भ्रष्टाचार का आइकॉन है, आज वो सुहाना सुहाना है। देखिए, और भी विश्लेषण करें तो इसमें आपको समझ में आएगा कि क्या है ये अलायंस, ये यूनिटी क्या है। इसमें ना कोई विजन है, ना इसमें कोई मिशन है, ना ये कोई एक मुद्दे पर कॉमन है। इसमें केवल अगर कॉमनैलिटी या यूनिटी है तो वो यूनिटी इन करप्शन है, यूनिटी इन कमीशन है, यूनिटी इन पॉलिटिक्स ऑफ डिवीजन है और यूनिटी इन तुष्टीकरण है। हां, और यूनिटी इन एम्बिशन फॉर पोजीशन है। ये केवल यूनिटी इन करप्शन, कमीशन, डिवीजन एंड एम्बिशन फॉर पोजीशन है, जिसके चलते ये सारे भ्रष्टाचारी एक साथ हो रहे हैं। और अरविंद केजरीवाल ने पॉलिटिकल यूटर्न की सबसे बड़े उदाहरण को दिखाते हुए लालू प्रसाद यादव और उनके परिवार को भी गले लगा लिया है। और आज इसीलिए इस विचित्र स्थिति से कुछ सवाल निर्माण होते हैं जो सीधे सीधे तौर पर और स्पष्ट तरीके से मैं अरविंद केजरीवाल जी तरफ डालना चाहता हूं और उनसे पूछना चाहता हूं। सवाल नंबर 1, अरविंद केजरीवाल जी, यदि 2014 से पहले लालू प्रसाद यादव जी की कन्विक्शन से पहले 2013 में उनकी कन्विक्शन हुई थी पहली बार, यदि उनका पूरा परिवार भ्रष्ट था, यदि उनका पूरा परिवार परिवारवादी मानसिकता से लिप्त था, तो आज ऐसी कौन सी स्थितियां बदली है जब वो 4-4 बार 5-5 बार कन्विक्ट हो चुके हैं कि आज आपने यू टर्न करके उनको गले लगा लिया है? उनको कौन सी करप्शन से राहत मिली है? उल्टा आज जिनके साथ आप खड़े थे, उनके पुत्र के साथ, उनका तो नाम ईडी और सीबीआई ने लैंड फॉर जॉब स्कैम में लिया है। और ये लैंड फॉर जॉब स्कैम क्या है? ये 600 करोड़ का घोटाला है। और इस घोटाले का मूल मंत्र क्या था? जैसे नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस ने एक समय पर कहा था, तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा। ये नेताजी के विचार थे। ये इनके परिवार का विचार क्या था? तुम मुझे लैंड दो, मैं तुम्हें जॉब दूंगा। ग्रुप डी और जो एकदम गरीब से गरीब तबके के लिए जो नौकरियां होती है, गरीब समाज के लोग जिस नौकरियों को पाने के लिए इच्छुक होते हैं, ऐसी नौकरियों के एवज में औने पौने दाम पर करोड़ों की जमीन हड़पने का, ऐंठने का काम इनके परिवार ने किया। और ये मैं नहीं कह रहा हूं, ये कोई भारतीय जनता पार्टी नहीं कह रही है। इस पूरे केस के बारे में जानकारी सबसे पहले जेडीयू के ललन सिंह ने दी थी, हमने नहीं दी थी, जेडीयू ने दी थी। पूरी कार्रवाई इसमें जब शुरू हुई, यूपीए 1 के बाद यूपीए 2, तो उस समय जो रेल मंत्री थी, उन्होंने बयान देकर इस पर कार्रवाइयां शुरू करवाने का काम किया। यह अलग बात है कि कांग्रेस के जमाने में एजेंसियों के द्वारा किस प्रकार से केस पैरेट की तरह काम किया जाता था, जब चाहिए तो केस खुले, जब चाहिए तो केस बंद, तो इसमें वो केस कभी आगे गया नहीं होगा। राजनीतिक मंशा क्या रही होगी वो एक अलग विषय है, पर इस पूरे केस की जानकारी जेडीयू ने दी थी। और केस क्या था? गरीबों से 1/4 दाम पर उनकी जमीनें लो और जमीनें परिवार को ट्रांसफर हो तो तब आपको नौकरी मिले ग्रुप डी की। ऐसे व्यक्ति ने, जिसने 600 करोड़ का घोटाला किया है, जिस पर सीबीआई और ईडी की प्रोसीडिंग चल रही है, जिसके प्रॉपर्टीज पर अटैचमेंट्स हो रही है और जिनको हाई कोर्ट तक राहत नहीं दे रहा। ये कोर्ट भी गए थे तेजस्वी यादव समन कॉश करवाने के लिए, आपको याद होगा। कोर्ट ने कहा सीबीआई के सामने पेश होना है, तो 25 तारीख को पिछले महीने पेश भी होना पड़ा। ऐसे व्यक्ति जिनको मैं रिवर्स रॉबिनहुड कहता हूं। रॉबिनहुड क्या करता था? वो अमीरों से चुराता था, गरीबों में बांटता था। ये रिवर्स रॉबिनहुड है। ये गरीबों से चुराते हैं, अपनी जेबें भरते हैं। ये रिवर्स रॉबिनहुड के साथ खड़े हो रहे हैं, पॉलिटिकल पिनोकियो। बताइए। और ये अपने आप को कट्टर ईमानदारी का डिग्री देते हैं, हम कट्टर ईमानदार है जी। यह सियासी धर्मांतरण, पॉलिटिकल कन्वर्जन का ऐसा उदाहरण भारतीय राजनीति में आज तक हमने नहीं देखा होगा 75 वर्षों में। और यह भारतीय जनता पार्टी नहीं कह रही है। तेजस्वी यादव पर जो प्रोसीडिंग्स हो रहे हैं, उनके परिवार पर जो प्रोसीडिंग्स हो रहे हैं, कोर्ट ने कहा है, मैं आपको एक वाक्य पढ़कर सुनाना चाहता हूं कोर्ट ने क्या कहा है। चार्जशीट पर कॉग्निजेंस लेते हुए लैंड फॉर जॉब स्कैम में कोर्ट कहती है, a perusal of the charge sheet and the documents and material on record prima facie shows commission of offences under section 120B, 420, 467, 468, 471 of IPC and sections 8, 9, 11, 12, 13 of Prevention of Corruption Act. Cognizance is taken. ये कोर्ट का कहना है। कोर्ट ने जिसको प्रथम दृष्टया भ्रष्टाचार में फिर से लिप्त पाया है, कोर्ट ने जिसके परिवार को कन्विक्ट किया है, जिसका नाम एक और स्कैम IRCTC स्कैम में है और जिसकी शुरुआत जो भी हुई है वो जेडीयू के माध्यम से हुई है, उसके साथ खड़े होकर करप्शन के खिलाफ लड़ने की बड़ी बड़ी बातें करते हैं पॉलिटिकल नटवर लाल, पॉलिटिकल पिनोकियो। ये क्या है? ये केवल भ्रष्टाचार बचाओ आंदोलन है। An alliance and coalition to save the corrupt. A coalition of colonial cousins of corruption. यह है इनकी हकीकत और विचित्र स्थिति। और इसीलिए केजरीवाल जी, मैं आपसे एक और सवाल पूछता हूं, यह रिश्ता आखिर कहलाता क्या है? क्या आपने लालू प्रसाद यादव और उनके परिवार को कट्टर ईमानदारी का डिग्री थमा दिया है क्या? यह वही डिग्री तो नहीं है जो आप कई महीनों से सत्येंद्र जैन को थमा रहे हैं, जिनको 10 महीने से राहत नहीं मिली, हवालेबाज कोर्ट ने कहा है। यह वही डिग्री तो नहीं है जो आप मनीष सिसोदिया को ठहराते हैं और बोलते हैं बेचारा मनीष तो बहुत ही ईमानदार है, उसको पद्म मिलना चाहिए। हाईएस्ट कोर्ट तक उनको राहत नहीं मिली है। और पिछली बार जब मैं इसी मंच से आपके सामने रूबरू हुआ था, तब मैंने आपको बताया था कि कोर्ट ने मनीष सिसोदिया, शराब मंत्री अक्यूज नंबर 1 के बारे में कहा है कि वो आर्किटेक्ट है शराब घोटाले के। कोर्ट ने कहा है कि 90 से 100 करोड़ की घूस ली है मनीष सिसोदिया ने। कोर्ट ने कहा है कि किस प्रकार से इस शराब घोटाले को ऑर्केस्ट्रेट किया गया और एक्सपर्ट कमेटी की रिपोर्ट को दरकिनार किया गया। यह सबूतों के साथ कोर्ट ने प्रथम दृष्टया एस्टैब्लिश किया है। क्या वही डिग्री सर्टिफिकेट मनीष सिसोदिया वाला, सत्येंद्र जैन वाला, यही थमा दिया है क्या तेजस्वी यादव जी और लालू जी को? जरा बताइएगा, हमें बताइएगा एक बार। अभी जो खबर भी मीडिया के माध्यम से अभी मैं पढ़ रहा था आते आते, कि फिर से एक बार मनीष सिसोदिया को अभी राहत नहीं मिली है, पर शराब घोटाले में किस प्रकार से कॉन्स्पिरेसी की गई उसका एक और नमूना सामने। ऐसा नमूना कि ईमेल्स को फैब्रिकेट करके यह दिखाया गया कि पब्लिक अप्रूवल था उनकी पॉलिसी के लिए। ये तो ऐसे कहते ही थे, उनके वक्तव्य पुराने कि शराब पॉलिसी जो हमने लाई है वो बेस्ट पॉलिसी इन द वर्ल्ड है, बेस्ट पॉलिसी ये कहते थे। आतिशी कहती थी, उनके और एक सौरभ भारद्वाज कहते थे, संजय सिंह कहते थे बेस्ट पॉलिसी इन द वर्ल्ड है, बेस्ट पॉलिसी, इससे ज्यादा बेहतर पॉलिसी हो नहीं सकती। फिर यू टर्न करके पॉलिसी कैंसिल कर दी, परंतु ये बेस्ट पॉलिसी साबित करने के लिए मनीष सिसोदिया ने मंत्री होते हुए ईमेल फैब्रिकेट करा के फर्जी ईमेल अपने पास मंगवाए और यह बताया कि यह पब्लिक अप्रूवल आई है इस पॉलिसी के लिए। और बंद कैसे रही थी वो पॉलिसी? एक क्लोज रूम में मोनोपोली क्रिएट करने के लिए, कार्टेल क्रिएट करने के लिए, कुछ लोगों को फायदा दिलाने के लिए। तो ये आज इस बीबीसी भ्रष्टाचार बचाओ कोलिशन के बारे में यह सवाल हमने आपसे पूछा है, केजरीवाल जी बताइए कि क्या झूठ बोलना और पलटना यह आपकी फितरत बन चुकी है राजनीतिक रूप से? आपने जो बड़े बड़े वादे किए थे दिल्ली को कभी पूरे नहीं किए। आपने तो गली गली मोहल्ले मोहल्ले शराब के ठेके खोल दिए। हवालेबाज मंत्री और शराब में लिप्त मंत्रियों को बचाने का काम करते हैं। और आज जिस लालू प्रसाद यादव को आप करप्शन का आइकॉन मानते थे, आज उन्हीं के गले लग गए। यह ऐसी कौन सी राजनीतिक विवशता है, राजनीतिक मजबूरी है? नीतीश जी की तो राजनीतिक मजबूरी हम समझते ही हैं, नीतीश जी की तो हम समझते ही हैं। उन्होंने तो जेडीयू के माध्यम से केस शुरू किया लैंड फॉर जॉब का। एक समय था कि जेडीयू का अधिकृत बयान था कि लालू इज द आइकॉन ऑफ करप्शन। उनकी विवशता और उनकी लाचारी, उनकी मजबूरी बिहार में क्या है हम समझते हैं। पर अरविंद केजरीवाल, जिनका जन्म हुआ करप्शन के खिलाफ लड़ने, जिनकी अनुयायी जो थी एक समय पर वो बनते थे अनुयायी अरविंद के, अन्ना हजारे के, आज ऐसी कौन सी राजनीतिक विवशता है कि वो लालू प्रसाद यादव, राहुल गांधी और तेजस्वी यादव के साथ अलायंस बना रहे हैं? इसका जवाब हमें मिलना चाहिए। अंत में मैं केवल इसको समअप करूं तो कह सकते हैं जो आजकल ये नजारा दिख रहा है, चल पड़ी है करप्शन की रेस, चल पड़ी है करप्शन की रेस। सबको बनना है इस भ्रष्टाचार के ठगबंधन का फेस। चाहते हैं सब बंद करवाना अपना अपना केस, परंतु सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इनके अरमानों पर लगा दी है ठेस। और इसीलिए मिल गए हैं सारे भ्रष्टाचारी अपने अपने बचाने अपने कुनबे और अपनी स्पेस। ये इस प्रकार का विश्लेषण निकल कर आया है। आज पॉलिटिकल पिनोकियो को इसका जवाब देना चाहिए कि क्या 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15 में जो उनका विश्लेषण था लालू प्रसाद के परिवार पर, उनके भ्रष्टाचार पर, वो उस पर यू टर्न करते हुए आज भ्रष्टाचार को गले मिल रहे हैं, मिला रहे हैं, लग रहे हैं, क्योंकि वो खुद भ्रष्टाचार की सबसे बड़ी बड़ी डिग्रियां लेकर बैठे हैं। बस इतनी बातों के साथ मैं अपनी वाणी को विराम दूंगा। कोई और सवाल होगा तो आप पूछ सकते हैं।
नीतीश कुमार जी की भूमिका क्या होने वाली है?
ये भूमिका सबकी यही होनी चाहिए और यही होने वाली है कि कितने लोगों को जोड़ सके, जोड़े देश के हित में।
सर, कांग्रेस की तरफ से कल क्या मैसेज रहा और अरविंद केजरीवाल ने क्या इसमें सिग्नल दिया है?
यार सिग्नलें बहुत होते रहेंगे, बातचीत जब शुरू होगी, इतने सारे पार्टियां हैं तो ये सिग्नल्स आते रहेंगे और कई सारे होते रहेगी, लेकिन मोमेंटम आगे बढ़ रहा है।
सर, अभी इंडिविजुअल मीटिंग चल रही है, कलेक्टिव मीटिंग कब होगी?
हाँ, नहीं कोलिशन बनेगा और सीट एडजस्टमेंट्स होंगे बेसिकली स्टेट लेवल पे।
सर, 2019 के पहले भी इस तरह की मीटिंग हुई थी, लेकिन उसके बाद भी अलग अलग पार्टियां हो गई, अलग अलग चुनाव लड़ी। तो क्या इस बार की मीटिंग जो हो रही है आप लोगों की वो आगे
सकारात्मक होगी?
सकारात्मक हो पाएगा,
वही उम्मीद है। और वो जिस रास्ते पे शुरू हुई है और जितना आगे बढ़ी है उससे ये हम कॉन्फिडेंट है कि ये आगे बढ़ रही है।
सर, अभी इंडिविजुअल
पार्टी है उसके साथ कैसे अलायंस होगा? जैसे बंगाल की बात करें, टीएमसी के साथ क्या आप लोग या कांग्रेस एक साथ मिलकर चुनाव लड़ेंगे?
मैं आपको फिर से स्पष्ट रूप से बताऊं, या समझ लीजिए, और कुछ भाषा में बोलना चाहिए तो बोल दूंगा।
नहीं सर,
सीट की एडजस्टमेंट होगी स्टेट लेवल पर। हर स्टेट में अपने अपने अलग परिस्थितियां हैं। केरल में कांग्रेस और हमारे बीच में टकराव है
जी,
सीधा सीधा। वहां पे बीजेपी का एक भी एमएलए नहीं जीत सकता। वहां की जो टैक्टिक्स होगी वो नेचुरली बाकी जगहों पर वही टैक्टिक्स नहीं होगी।
तो इसलिए समझिए स्टेट स्पेसिफिक होगा, लेकिन सवाल ये है कि सब ये सेक्युलर डेमोक्रेटिक पार्टियां सब की उद्देश्य स्पष्ट है कि हम लोग मैक्सिमाइज करें पूलिंग ऑफ एंटी बीजेपी वोट, ये नहीं कि 37% वोट लेकर वो सरकार बनाते जाए।
सर, एक कलेक्टिव मीटिंग कब होगी? रूलिंग आउट द पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ थर्ड कलेक्टिव मीटिंग कब होगी? Are you ruling out the possibility?
I'm not ruling out any. You see, the front that is going to be formed, if at all, it will always be after the elections.
Sir,
that has been the history.
Sir, Nitish Kumar
96, United Front was formed after elections. 98, NDA was formed after elections, after Vajpayee election. 2004, UPA was formed after elections. So that is what. So don't jump the gun now. I mean, let's cross the bridge.
सर अभी
when you reach the
अभी सर इंडिविजुअल मीटिंग चल रही है, यूनाइटेड मीटिंग कब होने वाली है सर?
एक साथ सर मीटिंग कब होगी?
बाकी पार्टियों से बातचीत का सिलसिला शुरू हुआ है और उसी के आधार पर विद म्यूचुअली कन्वीनियंट डेट अगला मीटिंग होगा और जल्द से जल्द 2 वीक्स।
सवाल और एक पूरा सवाल है। सप्लीमेंट्री सवाल यह है कि आपने कहा कि स्टेट लेवल पे अलायंस होगा, आपने बहुत अच्छा उदाहरण दिया केरल का। क्या पेंच भी फंसेगा, जैसे दिल्ली में आम आदमी पार्टी कांग्रेस, पंजाब में आम आदमी पार्टी कांग्रेस विपक्ष की पार्टियों की तरफ से, गुजरात में आम आदमी पार्टी और कांग्रेस, तो गोवा में आम आदमी पार्टी और कांग्रेस विपक्ष की पार्टियां, वहां सीटों में पेंच फंसेगा? और दूसरा मेरा सवाल है कि शरद पवार के बयान जो कि विपक्ष की एकजुटता में भी भूमिका निभा सकते हैं, वो बयान कई बार ऐसे देते हैं जो लगता है कि विपक्ष की एकजुटता नहीं होगी, विपक्ष बटा हुआ है, मुद्दों पे बात करता है। तो शरद पवार के बयानों पे क्या कहेंगे?
आज का बयान सुनिए, कल जो बयान दिए उसके बारे में क्या कहेंगे आप? आप तो एक केस बना रहे हो कि अगले मीटिंग में आप शामिल होना चाहते हो हमारे साथ। आइएगा, आपको भी आमंत्रण कर लेंगे। आप भी मदद करें सीट बांटने में। चलिए।
स्वर्ण अक्षरों में उन्होंने प्रशंसा की है सावरकर जी के योगदान की। तो क्या वो सारे लोग गलत थे? क्या राहुल गांधी कहना चाह रहे हैं कि उनकी दादी मां गलत थी, यशवंतराव जी गलत थे, शरद पवार गलत हैं, उद्धव जी गलत है और केवल वो सही है? यह दिखाता है कि एक व्यक्ति का विरोध करते करते हो सकता है राहुल गांधी को भारतीय जनता पार्टी एक आंख न भाती हो। यह बात सही हो सकती है, उनको प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी, देवेंद्र जी की सरकार, शिंदे जी की सरकार एक आंख न भाती हो, परंतु क्या एक व्यक्ति एक पार्टी का विरोध करते करते हम देश के राष्ट्र महानायकों का इस प्रकार से अपमान करेंगे? इस प्रकार से बार बार अपमानजनक और झूठी बातें फैलाएंगे? और एक केस में तो जिस प्रकार से उन्होंने झूठ बोला है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट के सामने उनको माफी मांगनी पड़ी।
All right, viewers, let's go ahead to some more breaking news. Just right now we heard Shehzad Poonawala's unrelenting attack on the opposition as they try to cobble up an alliance. Let's move ahead right now. In fact, some breaking news coming in. Supreme Court has set aside the order of Calcutta High Court transferring matter concerning alleged attack on convoy of Union Minister of State for Home Affairs, Nishit Pramanik, by the TMC workers to CBI. The matter has been sent back to High Court to be looked at afresh, viewers. So we're getting these details coming in right now where the Supreme Court has set aside the order of Calcutta High Court transferring the matter concerning the alleged attack on the convoy of Union Minister of State for Home Affairs, Nishit Pramanik, by TMC workers to CBI. The matter has been sent back to High Court to be looked at fresh. So the Supreme Court has set aside the order on the Nishit Pramanik attack, which on his convoy, viewers. We're getting these back-to-back details coming in at this point of time. So essentially, what this really means, the Supreme Court, this entire matter has been sent by the Supreme Court. It's back in the High Court, and it will be looked at completely new and fresh. That's what we're getting for you right now. Just remember that sometime back, around 2 weeks ago, the Calcutta High Court had ordered a CBI probe into the attack on the convoy of the Union Minister of State, MOS, for Home and Youth Affairs, Nishit Pramanik. And that back then, the leader of the opposition in the Bengal Assembly, Suvendu Adhikari, had moved the High Court on this issue. But now what we are learning so far is the Supreme Court has set aside the order of Calcutta High Court, which transferred the matter concerning the alleged attack on convoy of Union Minister of State for Home Affairs, Nishit Pramanik, by TMC workers to CBI. The matter has now been sent back to High Court to be looked at afresh, viewers. Getting these back-to-back details coming in. And let's go to Sambhav, who's joining us. Sambhav, take our viewers through why this is an important development, because now what we're learning so far is the Supreme Court has set aside the order of the Calcutta High Court.
Well, this is an important hearing in the sense that the Supreme Court bench led by Chief Justice of India has set aside the order of the Calcutta High Court, which had ordered the CBI probe into the allegations of attack on the convoy of Union Minister of State Affairs Nitish and in Cooch Behar district in February. So this has been set aside by the Supreme Court, wherein the Calcutta High Court had ordered the CBI probe into the matter. And post which there are certain things which the Chief Justice of India has also noticed, and which is like the High Court did not apply its mind in the entire facts, and we find it appropriate to remit the matter back to the High Court to apply its mind afresh. So now the matter is again in the High Court. The High Court will hear this matter afresh.
Right, Sambhav. So we're getting these back-to-back details coming in here on Republic TV. Now, this case it was alleged that bombs were hurled and stones pelted and bullets fired at the vehicle of Pramanik, who's a Cooch Behar MP and the youngest minister in the Modi cabinet. So right now, let's take our viewers through, Sambhav. How can we expect this case to move ahead legally from the legal perspective? How much time do you think it will take for the High Court to look at this matter afresh?
Well, it is up to the High Court. Now the matter would again go to the High Court. High Court would again hear the matter afresh, what all happened. And again, the counsel from both for Suvendu Adhikari as well as State of West Bengal would again put their argument in the High Court, and High Court would hear this matter afresh. Now, this matter was regarding this BJP MP and alleged attack on BJP MP in Cooch Behar on February 25th, on which High Court had passed the order for CBI probe, considering the irregularities by the state government's police. So now this matter would again be heard by the High Court. The Calcutta High Court would again hear this matter afresh.
Absolutely, Sambhav. Sambhav is getting us top details coming in right now. Just take our viewers through exactly what has happened earlier, because earlier, and Kishore, I'm coming to you, because earlier the leader of opposition in the State Assembly, Suvendu Adhikari, had approached the High Court to seek a CBI probe into the attack. So we have seen many developments take place. Right now we are hearing the Supreme Court has set aside the order of the High Court, transferring the case in fact, back to the High Court. Take us through exactly what's happening in this big developing story.
Well, Shivangi, exactly what happened was 25th of February, Nishit Pramanik's convoy was attacked in Dinhata of West Bengal. And that matter was taken up to High Court, and High Court transferred that case and investigation to CBI. Right now, the update we are getting, as a matter of fact, is the Supreme Court has for now set aside the instruction of High Court of CBI inquiry. Right now, CBI inquiry is not happening, and then the case has been transferred back to the High Court to be looked afresh. What happened that day exactly? I'll just brief you, Shivangi, about the whole incident. In Dinhata, it was Nishit Pramanik's convoy which was going through a particular area where it was attacked by allegedly Trinamool goons. It was alleged by Nishit Pramanik himself that there was gunshots heard, there was bombs being hurled, and there was stone pelting that happened. His car was attacked, his windshields were broken, and also there was a ruckus in that whole area. A huge number of police members were also deployed. Later on, many of the BJP party workers also were arrested by the West Bengal police. Again, the opposition was attacking the state government on the terms that why BJP members will be arrested if Nishit Pramanik's car was being attacked. Later on, this whole case was being heard in High Court, and the High Court ordered CBI inquiry into the matter, which was a huge breaking for Bengal as well. And right now, when the matter was taken up to the Supreme Court by the state, now the Supreme Court has ordered that right now CBI inquiry is set aside. It will not be happening as of now. The matter has been returned back to Kolkata High Court, and Calcutta High Court will be looking into it afresh, and then again we have to see what happens. Shivangi.
All right, Kishore getting us top updates from a Republic Bangla newsroom. Supreme Court has set aside the order of Calcutta High Court transferring the matter concerning the alleged attack on the convoy of Union Minister of State for Home Affairs Nisit Parmamik by TMC workers to the CBI. It's gone back to the High Court right now. The High Court will be looking at this matter afresh. Thank you, Kishore. Let's move ahead, viewers, and take a very short break. We are live and breaking on India's #1 news network. Coming up on the other side, it's a big controversy in Bengal as Amartya Sen gets eviction order over the Shanti Niketan residence. And Mafia Don Atiq Ahmed and brother produced before the court in the Umesh Pal murder case. Stay tuned.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 10 years, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
Your friend Mamta Banerjee, she says that आप consult नहीं करते, like on disinvestment, opposition should have been consulted.
हमने सोचना बंद नहीं किया। करोड़ों की संख्या में रिपब्लिक भारत और रिपब्लिक टीवी दोनों को देश में लोग देख रहे हैं। ये सब कभी ना कभी ट्रेन का सफर करते हैं। अब हम चाहते हैं कि वो ट्रेन का सफर अंग्रेजी में SUFFER सफर ना रहे, वो एक सुगम सफर होता है।
Why you say that elections don't matter? Because you cannot win elections.
There is one of the fundamental fallacies of humanity is to think that electoral victories validate everything. I certainly don't intend to compare governments and individuals. Errors are errors, whether they are made by majority governments or not majority governments.
Today we recall the patriotism of those brave service officers, police persons, civilians who rubbed their shoulders to defeat terrorism at Mumbai, and the patriotic fervor that was generated by them, I think has generated a new kind of nationalism amongst the citizens of our country.
Dear viewers, in a few days we are bringing to you once again the Republic Summit. And this year our theme is fittingly about how this is a time of transformation. Yes, this is a time of transformation for an India that is growing 4 times faster than the world average. It is a time of transformation for an India whose manufacturing exports grow 40% year on year on the back of COVID, while China witnesses a major loss. This is a time of transformation, of opportunity for India that has let go of the dollar hangover, and the rupee is closer to being accepted as international currency. And nearly 60% of all digital payments are already UPI based. Isn't this the very moment to come together and think of how we can make the transformation even quicker? So please join me and join all of us at Republic TV as we bring to you the Republic Summit this year on the theme of a time of transformation.
Viewers, time for top updates coming in from India. Union Minister Giriraj Singh took a jab at the opposition, taking a swipe at Nitish Kumar. The Union Minister said that everyone wants to become the Prime Minister.
अरे भाई, व्याकुल भारत के लोग हैं और सबके मन में प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनने का है। नीतीश कुमार उसमें प्रबल हैं, तो ये जा रहे हैं मिलने के लिए। खड़गे साहब की खुशामद कर रहे हैं, राहुल गांधी से बड़ी मुश्किल से अपॉइंटमेंट मिला। लेकिन एक चीज जान लीजिए, नीतीश कुमार जी, ये वो गाना नहीं है, दिल की अरमा आंसुओं में बह गए। 2024 का पद खाली नहीं है। और इनकी राजनीतिक दुर्गति होना अभी बाकी है।
BJP leader MP Kumaraswamy resigns from the primary membership of the BJP after not getting a ticket. He said that he will submit his resignation to Speaker today. IIT Madras students held a protest last night seeking justice for PhD student Sachin Jain, who died recently allegedly by suicide. The student alleged that Sachin's guide, Professor Ashish Kumar Sen, is the reason for Sachin's death and demanded to take action against the professor. Several Tibetans held march at a town in Arunachal Pradesh, and this is against China's recent actions of renaming 11 places of Arunachal Pradesh. On the night of April 12 to 13, a suspicious movement of aerial objects was reported on the LOC in Rajouri's area, after which a cordon and search operation was launched and movement of a drone was tracked. 5 loaded AK magazines, some cash, and a sealed packet recovered from the drone. Search operations are underway. Security has been tightened in Bhatinda district in view of 3-day-long Baisakhi Mela that started yesterday at the area of Bhatinda. The ED conducted a raid at multiple locations across Jharkhand linked to IAS officer Chavi Ranjan in connection with a land scam case. According to the Central Probe Agency, ED also conducted raids at multiple locations in West Bengal, Bihar and Jharkhand, including at his residence in Ranchi. On the night of April 12 to 13, BSF soldiers deployed on the international border fired at a drone during the search of 4.560 kilogram of heroin was recovered from a farming field near village. Now, the search operations are currently underway. Shrimani Akali Dal leader Prem Singh on Wednesday called for a high-level inquiry into a firing incident in Punjab's Bhatinda military station, which claimed the lives of at least 4 Jawans. India recorded a single-day rise of 10,158 coronavirus cases, highest in nearly 8 months. A 3-year-old boy was attacked by a group of stray dogs in Nagpur. The incident is recorded on CCTV footage, where it's seen the helpless child was brutally attacked by the pack of stray dogs in Nagpur. Viewers, much more coming